Hey, welcome back. This is training log 10, which is looking at leading into the London Marathon 2023. And in my eyes, for that year, this was going to be my main marathon, which I was going to sort of aim for a personal best, but I was aiming for a really aggressive sort of target. And I was really hoping to get do a sub 240, which in hindsight may have been a little bit too ambitious because I don't really think I'd done enough of the longer tempo runs around the 6 minute mile pace right the way through into the teens, which I should have done. I mean, I practiced quite a lot at marathon race pace, but in terms of the long runs into the marathon race pace, I don't think I'd done enough of those. I've done a lot of long runs, so the endurance was all there. It was just about sort of gearing your body up to feeling comfortable running at those faster speeds. I mean, I've definitely done the interval work, and as you can see, so the previous marathon, which was 3 weeks before, was the Brighton Marathon, which I got a personal best. And the way in which I was approaching that was basically a lot more relaxed, see how it went for the first half, run by feel, and then realise I had loads of energy at the end and managed to get a personal best in the second half with a negative split, which was a great race. Really, really loved it. So I was feeling really strong, but in terms of going down from a 246 to a sub 240, it was a big step. But yeah, I was ambitious and I thought I might as well just go for it. So looking at the gap between the Brighton and London, I did there was an intervals workout, which basically, it was getting me used to some of these speeds just to make sure that I was doing under the race pace. So yeah, these are obviously for only short periods of time, and then there's a little block there, but it was all under the 6 minute mile pace just to try and train my body to get comfortable and used to that sort of pace. So that was a useful workout. And then looking at this one here, I thought, to really stress your body, I just do a whole load of hill reps with over a kilometre's worth of elevation, more than 20 miles, which is a big workout. And I was hoping that all those hill reps would end up by sort of transferring into speed, because it was, it gives the extra power on your legs. But that was quite close to the actual event. But then it was going into the taper period. It was just a question of keeping my legs going, a bit of sort of minimal shoes wearing just to help with the form, and lower leg workout on the flat. But then going into London, basically I had a friend who lives up in Beckenham, so I managed to find somewhere where I could stay the night before, which wasn't too far, and then I got a taxi early in with a nice early night. And yeah, basically London was... I was going to be hitting it hard, totally different than Brighton. And on the day, basically, about 5 minutes before we were about to start, the heavens opened up and there was this massive downpour of rain. It was just torrential rain, literally. And so we step out into the rain, all sort of quite nervous, and we were soaked, and there was puddles everywhere. The crowds there was just so many runners. I think there was about 50,000 runners that year. The crowds were just crazily intense right from the start right to the end. So it was a totally different feel from Brighton, where the weather was good, the sun was out, and there was a nice sort of crowd atmosphere, but it wasn't as sort of there was a lot more room to sort of run without sort of trying to, one, avoid the massive puddles which were there, and two, avoid hitting people's legs to be able to stay upright. But especially if you're hitting it hard, you've got to aggressively try and hit those paces, and in this case it was under 6:07, so 6 minutes 7 per mile or faster, and that just wasn't happening on the day really. And I knew I wasn't gonna, after about maybe 10 miles, I wasn't on pace to be doing a sub 240. plus with the weather, and it was quite a stressful experience. I mean, it wasn't like I didn't really enjoy it as much, especially when in your mind when you know that you're not gonna be able to hit your main aim. I would also say that I changed my shoes. I went for the Vaporfly Next Percent 2s instead of my usual Alpha Flies, which I don't think are as cushioned, especially in the midfoot and the forefoot, sort of make you bounce along in the sort of latter miles with fresher legs. It was a really amazing experience, but it was very full on, and just being shouted at by the crowd, trying to stay upright, and it was very difficult to hit the paces I wanted to. So I think the reason I didn't hit do a sub 240, was because one, I hadn't done enough tempo runs, which were getting longer and longer and longer at marathon race pace. So basically, I think to do that, you need maybe 12 to 16 weeks of incrementally building up your tempo mileage. Maybe start off with a 5 mile and then a 6 mile, and keep going on and on into the teens, and up with a warm up and a cool down, just to basically train your body to run at marathon race pace and feel comfortable running at marathon race pace for a really long time, basically. So that's something which I'm going to train for next time. But yeah, it just wasn't happening on the day. I'm glad I did it, because it was obviously an amazing experience. But for me, it just wasn't happening on the day. But yeah, you learn a lot from it. Sometimes when you've got sub 3s already under your belt from previous races, you end up by taking risks and just seeing where it's gonna take you, how far your body can go. But it wasn't happening on this experience, or in this case. It was my usual sort of nutrition. I mean, I think I had about 5 gels with the odd caffeine one. I mean, you can see the splits here. It was very different. Wasn't like a negative split like in Brighton. So I went out hard at the start, and then it just wasn't being able to hold the pace I wanted to. But I mean, it wasn't too bad. But next time, at the moment I'm making this video, my next big marathon will be next year in 2024, which will be looking at Berlin. So I'll probably put in a proper training block for that and try and get those tempo runs up around the 6-minute mile pace and under, and then hopefully I can do a sub 240 then. But it wasn't happening on this occasion. But well, I'm glad I did it, and it's another marathon under your belt, and it's always good to get good for age. I think I got good for age for this one from the Edinburgh experience. So following on from London Marathon, which I did a 2:48, the next race after that was the Wheeled Challenge Ultra, which is a 50k. So we'll go through the training from the London Marathon right the way through to the 50k, and then beyond that, it's the exciting 100 miler, which is a totally different beast. But yeah, thanks for listening. I hope it's useful, but not every race goes as you wanted to, but it wasn't too bad. Anyway, have a good day. Bye.